All right, in this lesson, we're going to build more on our order of operations because we're going to also include now our parentheses in our numerical expressions and other grouping symbols. So I can recognize when numbers and operations are grouped as one term in a numerical expression so that I can simplify the numerical expressions following the proper order of operations. I will know I've got it when I score an 85% or better on the assignment following the lesson. Okay, in our previous lesson, we studied the order of operations and we started by circling the terms in the numerical expressions we were given. And you should recall that terms are separated by the plus and minus symbols. So when we are looking at this first expression in example 1, it reads 8 plus the quantity 7 minus 4 minus 2. So I read those parentheses as the quantity of 7 minus 4. When expressions are inside parentheses like that, or sometimes they're brackets, parentheses are curved, brackets are squared off, they're considered a grouping symbol. What's inside gets lumped together and forms one term. So you can see when I circled in example 1, I circled the 8, followed by the plus sign. I knew my new term was coming, and I circled the parentheses 7 minus 4. That is one term. Okay, there are two terms inside the parentheses, but that is considered one term. We circle the group that's inside those parentheses. And then the minus sign pops up, and we circle the 2. So we have 3 terms in this expression. This middle one is one term. It's 7 minus 4. And it's a term, and so that's one term, but then when you look inside, there's terms within that term. So it gets a little complicated, but just know that when you see numbers inside parentheses like that, you lump them as one big term. So there's 3 terms, the 8, the quantity 7 minus 4, and the minus 2. In the next example, it's done for you. We have 3 times the quantity 2 plus 6. This is one term. Then your minus sign comes up, and we have 7, the quantity 7 plus 3. That is your second term. This expression has 2 terms. 3 times the quantity 2 plus 6, and minus the quantity 7 plus 3. So you need to recognize those parentheses are lumping into terms. They are considered one term even though they have plus signs and minus signs inside of them. So we are going to practice together identifying terms that involve these grouping symbols to get used to those parentheses. The first step is to circle each term like we did in the last lesson. 24 is a term, and there's my minus sign. And the parentheses pop up, and there's a plus sign inside. So I take all of the things inside that parentheses, and it's the quantity 6 plus 8 and the minus sign. I still take that sign to the left of the term. And then our plus sign pops up, plus 5. Now, just like we did before, we're going to work left to right, just taking care of any business that needs to happen. 24 stands by itself. There's nothing to do to it at this time. Then we have minus the quantity 6 plus 8. 6 plus 8 is 14. So I do the math inside those parentheses. Clean that up. That addition here has to happen before I can do anything else. And then the plus 5 just comes down. So I'm performing one operation left to right as I go. There were no operations to do on this term. This term required me to add 6 and 8 because they were inside the grouping symbol. And there was nothing to do to this one. I just brought it down. Now we continue to work left to right because all that's left are subtraction and addition. We have numbers that just need to be subtracted and added. 24 take away 14 is 10. 10 plus, bring down your 5. We haven't used it yet. Now we're going to do 10 plus 5 is 15. Notice that we are still funneling. These problems today are going to become more complex than the problems we did the other day. So it's super important that you're not trying to use equal signs and that we're just working right under the problem in neat rows. And slowly, as we work our problems through, we get it smaller and smaller until we get to our final result at the bottom because we're out of operations to perform. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that I have grouping symbols here and here. So those are terms within a term. We want the whole big thing first. So we're going to go 2. Here's my plus sign. 2, and what I'm circling is the quantity 6 plus 4 because it's in those parentheses. Here's my plus sign. And I'm circling the quantity 7 minus 3. Okay. So I'm going to have some math to do here and here before I can work left to right for my addition subtraction. So I'm going to start here on the left, and there's just a 2. Bring it down because there's nothing to do to it. I'm going to add the quantity 6 plus 4. That means I'm going to add 10 because 6 plus 4 is 10. Then I'm going to add the quantity 7 minus 3. Well, 7 minus 3 is 4. So I get 2 plus 10 plus 4. Go left to right. 2 plus 10 is 12. Bring the plus 4 down and finish it off. 12 plus 4 is 16. Funneling those steps, nice, neat, organized work, one operation at a time as we work left to right to clean up and simplify our expression. So as our expressions are getting more complicated, we just have to stick with our plan. Okay, so the first step that we're going to keep using is circling each term. The second step is performing those operations in the expression going left to right, just taking care of one operation at a time, and we're funneling. So there's a checklist here. We're going to need it for the more complex problems. So it says use the checklist to help you simplify the terms with more than one operation. So we'll have to see what that means. Okay, just to look at this chart, the G stands for grouping symbols. The E stands for exponents. The M or multiply or divide, M or D stands for multiply, divide, and that's always left to right. If the term has both multiplication and division, we will work it left to right. And then addition and subtraction, same rule applies. If you're looking at addition and subtraction in the expression, and we're just going to simply move left to right, AS for addition subtraction. You may remember this last year. Some of your teachers may have called order of operations PEMDAS. In math, upper math, some people call it GEMDAS because grouping symbols are not always just parentheses. As you get further and further in math, there are other symbols that will group and put priority on your order of operations as well. You'll see some in this lesson. Okay, so looking at this problem, it's been done for you. Circle each term. Well, our first term is 3 times the quantity, 4 plus 6. Then there's that minus sign. That tells you you're coming up on a second term, 2 times 3 squared. Okay, so we're going to work this expression left to right. But this first expression here, this first part, has 2 operations. It's got both addition, change colors real quick. It's got both addition and multiplication by 3. So you have to figure out which one to do first, and that's where the checklist comes in. Since there are 2 operations, I have to figure out which one is required to happen first. And when I look, it's grouping symbols. It's the top of the chart. So if I have grouping symbols with that, which I do, I perform that operation first, and I get 10. And I bring the 3 times down because that's going to happen next. And when you do 3 times 10, you get 30. So I'm just funneling this piece down. Then there's my minus sign, and then there's this expression. This part of the expression has 2 operations. We're multiplying here, and we're raising 3 to the second power. So I go back over to the chart. This term right here has no grouping symbols in it, but it does have multiplication and exponents. Exponents is next, so I have to do the exponents first. Remember, 3 squared means 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. It's not 6, it's 9. So right here, we did that one operation and wrote it down. There were no grouping symbols in this term, but we did have exponents. Bam, done. We brought the 2 times down because we haven't done it yet. Now here's our expression. 3 times 10 is 30, minus 2 times 9 is 18. So we cleaned up this term and got it down to 30, and we cleaned up this term and got it to be 18, and now we can do our subtraction. That's last. See, it's last on the bottom. We always do add, subtract, last, and we work left to right, and 30 take away 18 is 12. So by funneling these steps and just performing one operation at a time and just being careful, and following this chart when there's more than one operation will help us to get through these more complex problems. Okay, so this says that we're going to use this checklist to simplify these terms that have more than one operation. So this is a single term. There's no pluses or minuses in it. This is a single term, but it has 2 operations. This has multiplication and exponents. So we look at our chart. Since there's 2 operations, we're just going to start and run top to bottom. Are there grouping symbols in this problem? No. Are there exponents in this problem? Yes. So we do exponents first. This means 4 times 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. So I'm going to write that down. But the 3 is waiting because we haven't multiplied yet by 3. One operation at a time. So I performed this operation and I brought the 3 times down in front. That's funneling and that's required. Exponents are all gone. What's left is multiplication. So I do my multiplication. You may have to go off to the side to get it done. If you can't do it in your head, 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And our answer is 48. Okay, let's check out this one. These 2 problems look so similar, but let's see what happens when we do this problem and we're following that chart, because that is the proper order of operations. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do, this is one term again. There's no pluses or minuses, so it's one big term. We have to clean up both operations. We have multiplication and exponents, just like this problem. But we go over to our chart here and we just start working through the steps. It says, hey, are there grouping symbols? Yes. 3 times 4 is grouped. 3 times 4 is 12. We have to multiply first. And then that exponent is waiting, sits there. So we get 12 squared. Remember, exponents means a number times itself. It's repeated multiplication, so we get 12 times 12. So this is now exponents. 12 times 12 is 144. So even though these 2 problems looked very similar, those parentheses around the 3 and the 4, placing that inside, changes our answer up. You don't get the same thing. These 2 expressions are not equal, even though they look like they might be able to come out equal because they have the same numbers and they both have multiplication and they both have an exponent. The order changed. We did exponents first here and multiplied second here because exponents was before multiplication. But the order of operations here forced us to multiply first because of the grouping symbol and then raise that result to an exponent, a power of 2. So they came out different. Okay, in this next problem, we're going to follow the same procedure we used in the last example. We have 16 divided by 2 to the 2nd power. So we're going to simplify this up And we're going to use this chart again to make sure we go in the right order because I have two operations in this one term. I have division and exponent. So I go to my chart. There are no grouping symbols. I do have exponents, that's second. So I do 2 to the second power. 16 divided by 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4. So I've done my exponent. The next what's left, the only operation left is division. So I divide. 16 divided by 4 is 4, and I'm done. When we come over to this problem, you might say, wow, those look just alike, except for we threw some parentheses on. Will it make a difference? This one reads the quantity 16 divided by 2 raised to the second power. So we're going to get the answer to this division, and then we're going to raise it to the second power. So like this problem, we're going to go over to our chart. And we're going to note that we have grouping symbols this time, where we didn't the last time. And we're going to do what's inside. 16 divided by 2 is first. Okay, now that I'm done with the division, that squared comes down with it. And now I do 8 times 8, because that's what that exponent doesn't mean 8 times 2. It's not 16, it's 64, because exponents is second. That means we repeated multiply, and we get 64. Again, these two expressions are not equal. 16 divided by 2 squared does not equal the quantity of 16 divided by 2 squared. By throwing the parentheses in and putting the priority on division first, exponent second, it changes our answer. Okay, so in this problem, we're going to do what we've been doing all along, which is identifying each term. It helps us to keep our brains focused on what we have to do before we can start adding and subtracting things. So there's term number 1 because this minus sign popped up. Term number 2 is this whole thing because this plus sign is inside the grouping symbols. And this is multiplication. So this is one big term. So there's only 2 terms here, but there's a lot going on in each one. This one has 2 operations, multiplication and exponents. So we're going to do this one first. We're just going to work each left to right. And we're going to funnel that required work that you're learning how to do. So I'm going to look at my checklist. Are there grouping symbols here in this first term? No, there's no parentheses going on. Are there exponents? Yes, 3 to the second power. So I'm sorry. 2 to the second power, which means 2 times 2. So I'm going to go 3 times 4. I just did this. Now I'm just going to go minus. Okay, now this term also has 2 operations in it. It's got multiplication 2 times, and it's got addition. So go over to the chart. Are there grouping symbols in this term? Yes. Do the grouping symbols. 3 plus 1 is 4, and the 2 times is just right there. So we took care of the addition because it was inside the grouping symbols. All right, now we're ready to do the next operation. We're just going to work left to right to clean things up. 3 times 4 is 12, minus 2 times 4 is 8. So we just did our multiplication for both, and now we have to add or subtract left to right. 12 take away 8 is 4. Okay, we're going to go through, and I'm going to have you circle the terms for this one as you pause the video, and then turn the video back on when you're done to see if you got the terms identified correctly. There's a lot happening here. Remember what terms are. They're separated by the pluses and the minuses. Okay, there are only 3 terms here. Looks like there should be a lot more, doesn't it? Okay, there's only 3. 30 is a term, then here's your minus sign. And then the grouping symbol, 2 plus 3 squared, that's 1 term. And then your plus sign comes up, and then your next term is 2 times 8 divided by 4. So we've got 30. Nothing to do to that one. It's all by itself, but these are a bit of a mess. Got to clean those up. So we go 30 minus Now we've got to go to our checklist. We have grouping symbols and an exponent. Grouping symbols comes first. So I'm going to do 2 plus 3 and I get 5. Remember, I'm only doing one operation at a time. So I'm going to write 5 squared. The squared comes down. I haven't done it yet. Here's that plus sign. It's right here. Now I got to clean this up. I've got 2 operations again, so I'm going to go to my chart to see what to do first. I have no grouping symbols. I have no exponents. So I don't need to worry about this, and I don't need to worry about that. I've got multiplication and division here. It says when one term has both multiplication and division, go left to right. So I'm going to do this first. 2 times 8. Left to right, and then I'm going to bring my divide by 4 down because I haven't worked it yet. One operation at a time. Okay, so here I am. I've got this term, it's just 30. This term is now one operation, 5 squared, 5 times 5. Hopefully you said 25. Plus, I've got this term right here, 16 divided by 4. Hopefully you said 4. Okay. Now I've got all of it cleaned up except for I have the subtraction and addition. So I have to just go left to right. Left to right. So I'm doing this first. 30 minus 25 is 5. Bring down the plus 4. And 5 plus 4 is 9. We're funneling. Our expression just gets shorter and shorter as we go until we are out of operations we can perform, and then we're done. It's simplified. All right, this problem reads 5 squared divided by 3 plus 2 plus 8. Okay, so circling the terms on this, we haven't seen the fraction bar yet in our division in this way. So this is one term. Here's that plus sign. There's a plus sign here, but it's under a fraction bar. Fraction bar is like a grouping symbol. Okay, so it separates the numerator and the denominator, and the numerator has to be computed first, and the denominator has to be computed first before we can divide. So this is one big fat term. And then this is our second term. There's only 2 terms here. All right, so we're going to do this one right here. 5 squared divided by 3 plus 2. I can't do any division because I don't know what to divide by yet. I have to divide by this when it's put together. And I don't know what to divide it into until I square 5. So you go 5 squared is 25 over 3 plus 2 is 5. When we're done with that, we add 8. Okay, this term is not in its simplest form. Remember, we had 1, 2, 3 operations, squaring, dividing, and adding. We squared already, we added already, now we've got to divide. 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 5 plus 8 is 13. So you have to make sure you do the operations in the right order, following the checklist. Okay, exponents, done. Grouped in the bottom, add. We're going to do that because it's like it's grouped in the denominator. And then the last thing we're going to do is divide there. And then we are going to add the 2 numbers when we're done. Okay, this is our final example. So I would like you to first circle the terms. And then when you're done circling the terms, turn the video back on to see if you've circled them correctly. Okay, you should have circled 2 times 4 to the 2nd power. That's one term, and then here's your minus sign, which says, hey, here comes the next term. 27 divided by 3 times 2. There are 2 terms here. Okay, the next thing you need to do is use this chart to figure out what to do first on this term. Are we going to multiply 2 times 4 first, or are we going to square 4 first? We're going to raise it to the second power. Okay? And then you're going to do the same for this one. We have two operations. We got division and multiplication. Are we going to divide 27 and 3 first? Or are we going to multiply 27 thirds times 2 first? What are we going to do first for this one? Use the chart to help if you're not sure. And then once you've got it funneled all the way down, one operation at a time in those neat rows, turn the video back on to see if you got it correct. Okay, so in this first term, we are going to come over here and say we have no grouping symbols. You might say, yes, we do, Mrs. Vandenberg. There's parentheses, but there's no operation inside it. Remember, the parentheses here are just to indicate that we're multiplying these two values together eventually. Okay, so this is a multiplication setup. So no grouping symbols because there's no operations to perform inside the parentheses. Then we have an exponent. That's next. We do have one. So we do 4 squared, which is 16. And the 2 in front just comes down. You can drop the parentheses there, or you can keep them in so you know that you're multiplying the 2 times 16. I did drop them and I put a dot. Well, I'll just throw them back in just so you can see that it could go either way. It could be the parentheses, or you could drop them at this point and put a dot. When I come over to this term, I'm going to perform 27 divided by 3 is 9, and I'm going to bring down the times 2 because we work left to right for our division, and division is first. 27 divided by 3 times 2. This is first. So we divided and got 9 and brought our times 2 down. Now that I've gotten rid of one of those operations in each of those terms, I'm now going to finish it. 2 times 16 is 32. 9 times 2 is 18. 32 take away 18 is 14. And now you have gotten down to that final simplified answer. Directions for doing these kinds of problems would be to simplify or evaluate the numerical expression. And the work that's required has been modeled in every single problem. If you don't show your work in that funneling way, the way in these neat rows where they're getting smaller and smaller till you're done, you will not earn that full credit. So make sure you know what the order of operations are, and then clean up your terms using those order of operations until you're down to your final answer. So that concludes this lesson in the notes. So now you're going to go do some practice to get familiar and better at performing the order of operations. Remember to show the required work in the required way. Good luck.